So yesterday at his speech in Arizona, convicted felon Donald Trump did something so disgusting and so inexcusable that I think his supporters are going to really struggle to defend this one. They will certainly try. They defend his every move. They just won't be very successful. I mean, look, we all know that Donald Trump is an awful human being, but I'd say that even this action is low for him, and that is certainly saying something. So what I'm referencing is while he was speaking, he brought a special guest, quote unquote, on stage. And here's an image of that. He's hugging the individual right there. And that individual is Joe Arpaio. He used to be a former sheriff in Arizona. And after hugging him and even kissing him on the cheek, Trump then walked over to his podium where he was speaking. He brought Joe with him and let Joe speak at the podium. And obviously in this photo, Donald Trump looks not great. It looks very deflated, but he brought him up on stage. And there's a clip of him doing it that I want to show you just to show how excited Donald Trump is about bringing this individual on stage. So take a look at that clip here.
Get up here, Joe. Sheriff Joe. No games. There were no games. There were no games being played with Sheriff Joe. I didn't know he was here. Come here, Joe.
Yeah, so first of all, that hug at the end there was kind of awkward, but, he said there was no games with Joe. I didn't even know he was here. Come up here, Joe. Come up on stage. And he's very excited to see him, very happy that he's there. And if you were like me, I had no idea who Joe Arpaio was. I didn't know why Donald Trump was so excited. But let me tell you who Joe Arpaio is. Let me show you who this man is and why it is so incredibly disgusting that Donald Trump brought him up on stage and embraced him and let him speak. Really just insane. So this is an article from the ACLU. This is a organization very well known in the United States, and they've been fighting Joe Arpaio in court for years, and you'll see why. So in 2017, former Sheriff Joe Arpaio was convicted of criminal contempt after he defied a federal judge's order to stop racially profiling and unlawfully detaining Latino residents of Maricopa County, Arizona. So let's just pause right there. That is already a lot to take in. So this individual, who was a sheriff in Arizona back in 2017 while he was serving, was racially profiling people and unlawfully detaining Latino individuals in Maricopa County, Arizona, one of the most biggest counties in Arizona and one of the most populous. What? This is a dude that's openly being racist in his practices. He's a sheriff, and Donald Trump's bringing him up on stage, giving him a hug, saying he's great, saying that there were no games. Really? So that's just a little a tidbit, a little snippet of who Joe Arpaio is, but it gets worse. Somehow it gets worse. Long before the Trump administration erected a tent city detention camp for migrant children in Texas, Arpaio had his own, quote, tent city, a brutal outdoor holding pen that he once proudly referred to as a concentration camp. A camp. That's who this guy is. He's unlawfully detaining people. He's racially profiling people. He's throwing them in camps that are brutal and humiliating, treating them like garbage. And the article goes on to say that people who encountered Arpaio's detention system faced gruesome conditions and humiliating practices, and they were denied basic necessities and health care. For example, female inmates had to sleep in their own blood, and he also assaulted pregnant women. So, pause for a second here. That's who Joe Arpaio is. And I really want to hammer this point home, that this is who this guy is, and Donald Trump is embracing him. He's embracing him, giving him a hug, bringing him up on stage. And we also had a former Obama speechwriter chime in on the matter. John Favreau said Joe Arpaio bragged, as we mentioned, that his jails were concentration camps, set up live video feeds of women's holding cells, and the courts found that he violated the 8th Amendment's ban on cruel and unusual punishment. So this guy is a racist, a misogynist, a criminal, and Donald Trump is bringing him up on stage. And fun fact, which is not so fun at the end of the day, Donald Trump also pardoned this guy as president. So all of these crimes that he's been accused of, committed, and convicted of, Donald Trump got him off, pardoned him. He's no longer a convicted individual, or at least not facing the penalties of being convicted, because Donald Trump pardoned him. So what? Are you kidding me? This is disgusting. He's bringing up a criminal on stage who is racially profiling people, and the crowd is cheering. What, because Donald Trump said he's great? Of course Donald Trump thinks he's great. He's a terrible person. He's a racist, a misogynist. He treats people like trash. I cannot believe this. And this needs to be known. More people need to be talking about this fact on how this is who Donald Trump surrounds himself with. This is the company he keeps. Criminals, people who do bad things, racists, misogynists, awful human beings. That's who Donald Trump keeps in his company. And this reminds me of something that we saw on MSNBC the other day. This graph that you can see on your screen right now talks about people involved in Trump's 2016 campaign, his business, his 2020 campaign, and of course, himself. All of these people have been convicted of crimes. All of them. All of them. And this is not everybody. There are more people close to Donald Trump who have been charged and yet to be convicted. We'll have to see how that plays out. But the overall point is that you have Donald Trump bringing this guy, Joe Arpaio, on stage. You have all the people around him involved in his campaigns being convicted of crimes. That's his company. That's who he likes being around. This is the type of person that he likes being around. And the main point I want to make regarding all of this is that if Donald Trump wins in 2024, you will see all of these people in the Oval Office with him. They will be part of his administration. They'll be serving alongside him. They'll have some of the most powerful jobs in not only the country, but the world. You'll see like Attorney General Joe Arpaio, Secretary of State Marjorie Taylor Greene, EPA Secretary Lauren Boebert, right? Department of Homeland Security Secretary Matt Gaetz. This is who we're going to see. And all these convicted criminals around Donald Trump will be back because Trump couldn't care less. He doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care about if somebody's treating somebody poorly or racially profiling them or just breaking laws generally. He couldn't care less as long as they are loyal to him and his idea of a dictatorship that he wants to run. They'll be in the White House with him. They're coming along for the ride if Donald Trump wins. So the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is, as I mentioned, not a lot of people are talking about this, but the prospect of folks like Arpaio being around Donald Trump are incredibly scary. And this is a message that we have to put out to the American people that, look, if Trump wins, it's not just him winning, right? It's not just the man in the Oval Office. It's all of the people around him who he will bring to the job, who will be in charge of some of these incredibly important roles, incredibly important agencies, and they will have a massive amounts of influence. And they're coming along with Donald Trump. It's a package deal. You get not only the awful person that Donald Trump is, but the awful people that he often keeps around him. So, look, I just had to talk about this story. I had to bring this to your attention. It is mind-blowing how anybody looks at this and they clap along and they think it's great. So, listen, I'll wrap up the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes such a long way. Also, drop a like on the video and comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. And as always, I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.